Enjoy episode 9, Luca Fucile, also known as Yahna. Visit HelloCopiCriminal.com for more awesome podcast episodes for your eargasm.
By the way, in the background, you can hear that little meow? Yep, that's espresso. Yeah, a little Kirin that I got a week ago. Cool, huh?
Happy to all the listeners out there. Enjoy episode 9 of Hello Kopi podcast.
Yeah, throughout life. Hey man,
Hi.
how you doing? What's up?
How are you?
Yeah, it is. Podcast. Yeah. Show it to you later.
The best place to feel outside of Malaysia, you know? What is up? Luca Fucile, welcome to the podcast, bro.
What's up, y'all?
How young are you and where you're from, bro?
I was initially born in Italy, Rome, but then I moved around growing up. Eventually ended up in Kuala Lumpur. Kuala Lumpur, shout out to Kia.
Right.
Living here for the past like 12 years, on and off.
So, what made you move to Malaysia? The reason and the pivot point?
Well, I was 11, so I was just following my family.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so my father moved here because he works with like radars and stuff. So I was working in airports. So we ended up here is working at the airport.
So you were born in Italy? Is that it? Or were you born?
Yeah.
You were born in Italy.
Yeah.
And then, like later on, you moved to Malaysia straight away, or? how does
no.
that-
So I was
process work?
born in Italy.
Mhm.
This is as far as I know the story goes.
Right.
I was born in Italy, and then after I was born, 6 months later, I moved to KK,
KK is in
Kota Kinabalu.
Wow.
Same reason.
Okay.
That was my dad's job
Mhm.
and stuff. So I spent like a year and a half there, and then we moved to. I think it was straight to China. I don't know. Yeah, I lived in Beijing. Went to school there for a bit. Same thing, dad's job, and then when I was like 6.5 or something, moved back to Rome
Okay.
until I was almost 11.
Right.
And then I turned 11 in KL.
Would you say your formative years, like your personality, were formed in Italy, China, or perhaps Malaysia? Which would be the like major factor for Luca being Luca today?
I don't think that that's the major factor. I think it contributes to it. I think that that age is where you get the precursors of your personality. But then
Okay.
it's after that age. So that kind of gives you your raw color palette. And then like past 11, when you're like kind of going into teenagehood, then it's your experiences that kind of shape your color palette into something
Right.
that's So I think I'm mostly shaped here. So listen to
Nice.
that.
So, at what age you started making your own music? Was it 9? You mentioned
No, around like 12ish.
12.
But that was like I started learning how to play the guitar,
Guitar.
and I wouldn't even consider that stage as like making music. I
Okay,
think-
that was just recording and trying to.
No, I wasn't
experiment.
recording yet.
Oh yeah.
Like, I didn't know how to record or anything. I just had a guitar and I would write stuff out, but it was never like a full thing. It was all just like kind of messing around
Right.
with like chords and stuff. Because when I first started playing the guitar, it was pretty cool. Because as soon as I kind of learned the chords and learned a few like riffs and things like that, it was I found it really amazing. Like, oh, I can mix and match. Like there was such a really long time when I first started playing
Right.
that I just didn't really learn other people's songs that much. I would learn songs for technical skill to like practice, but in terms of playing for fun, it's always you try to come up with your own ideas and play around with like what you can actually make and express.
Right.
So that was that stage. Like the first 2 or 3 years of me interacting with music on my own level Because before that, my mom was like teaching me. She's a classical musician,
Okay.
so she would teach me instruments and stuff like that. But I never really like. I don't know. I just never really liked it. You
Yeah.
know, like classical music, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and I just kind of backed away from it. But then when I found out about the guitar and I could be creative with it, then it was cool.
Right.
I liked
So
it.
how was the first experience recording? Do you remember? You actually-
Yeah. So that was my drummer at the time. My drummer's name was Ali, and
Okay.
he had like a 4-track digital recorder thing.
Mhm.
And we just started this like sort of like a band. We were just jamming and stuff quite frequently at the time. I think I was about 15, maybe 14,
Right.
maybe 15. I think 15. And then he lent me this like 4-track digital recorder, so you could like I'd borrow a bass guitar from the school or like at school and just like record in to a channel, and then I can go home and like record other stuff onto it, and then bounce it together. So
Right.
now it was like, it's obviously you could do crazy stuff, but not like now. I mean, it was just fun. So that was my first experience, like having recorded material and then being able to like combine it into one recorded thing. So that's mind blowing.
Cool, dude. So like how many years does it take for you to be comfortable with your like recording yourself or having the flow to actually get things going? Like from that point on to
What do you mean the flow of getting things going?
like how many years does it take for you to be comfortable being in front of the computer and just clicking things and producing without any like sort of trying to figure things out? Like does it take 10 years or 5 years?
I think that you can be comfortable. I think
Yeah.
you can be comfortable within like 1 year,
Yeah.
like in front of the computer. But the learning process, I don't think will ever really end.
Mm.
And if it did end, that would be really sad.
Right.
I wouldn't want it to end. You know, it's nice. It's nice to know that you don't know so much, because that means that you'll never run out of
Things to
things
figure
to
out.
learn, things
Right.
to something to do, something to
yeah.
improve. Yeah.
Cool.
But I mean, after the whole digital recorder thing, I mean, like he took it back after like maybe 2 weeks to a month or something. I was messing around with that, and then so that was cool. But it didn't like I wasn't constantly recording from then on. I started recording again when I was like 17
Okay.
or 18 with like Logic Pro,
Right.
and that's when like I learned about like EQ
Okay.
and compression, like actual, and started to learn about that. Yeah.
So, okay, cool. So after like being comfortable with the music producing and stuff, right? How long does it take for you to start performing live?
I was actually producing for like almost 2 years, and I just never really played a show. 'Cause I was
Okay.
like schooling and stuff,
Ah,
and I wasn't really interested in. I just didn't. I don't know. I didn't know enough. I didn't know enough to like play a show. In a weird way. I don't know. Saying that sounds weird, but like I just didn't know enough. So I was just always at home, like doing the thing, like trying to make the sounds. And I feel like I was also educating myself about music as I went along. Like definitely my interest in music totally like went up when I started being able to like produce this. And like really, once I started really looking into it, like from not just like writing songs on a guitar, but like the whole process of making a record,
right.
and like just the entire like actually kind of thinking about it a lot more in like realistic terms as well as creative terms. That made me want to listen to a way bigger variety of music. And it also, I think it helped me understand, or at least give me the premise to want to explore certain aspects of certain types of music and all that. So anyway, so I was still learning about a lot of stuff. Like I only started listening to like hip hop when I was like, I don't know, like 19
Right.
or like 20,
Okay.
I started getting like really kind of educated about it through my friend whom I lived with when I was in London. Yeah, and then so it's been a whole process.
So you actually went to like a London music school or something like
Yeah.
that? Like you studied audio? Is that
Yeah,
right? Which
yeah.
part of London? And
It was in Clapham Common, so it's
Cool.
like I don't know, a little bit south.
Mm.
But yeah, I went there, London School of Sound, studied audio engineering and production. Yeah, and that was cool. Like,
Did it help you in like your skills or?
well, it actually really helped me discover that like production was what I wanted to do. Because I was at that school just almost, yeah, like I wanted to be a recording engineer, and yeah, went to London, got a job at the Shake Shack.
Right.
Yeah, and went to that school for 2 years. And yeah, like I wanted to be a recording engineer. I wanted to be in studios, like doing that, like just tinkering with like cables and technology and stuff like that, and like learn about that, and maybe move on to studying like wave theory or something more technical, like you know. But then while I was there, like obviously you're around all the time, and you're doing a bit of everything. You're trying to learn, and you're also trying to make the most of being there, you know. So you mess around with anything, you know. At the time, I already had some experience with Logic and stuff, but then it was actually during that time that I figured out that getting into the creative process, the production process, is definitely more interesting to me than the more techie side of things. Like that's
Right.
where I kind of learned that about myself.
You say that for someone who wants to get into audio or music production, should go to like a 2-year program.
No.
No.
You don't need to do that.
You don't need it anymore, or does it?
No, you
it's
just
not-
never needed to do that. You just don't need to do that. Yeah.
What would be your recommendation then?
I would just say surround yourself with people that do that.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. That would be my best advice. Like surround yourself, because I went to that school. I learned what I needed to kind of get out of it. But I definitely would. I guess it was a nice place to realize a little bit more about what I wanted to do, which is kind of good. I mean, I guess that's the whole goal of
Right.
schooling in any way, right?
Yeah.
It's just to help you figure out which direction you want to go afterwards and give you at least a little bit of skills and all that. So I learned that, but it was after that I really learned more, a lot more, you know, and it was much after that I gained confidence, at least some confidence. I wouldn't say I'm super confident. Like, yeah, I mean, like some confidence in what I do is definitely all came after, like real life experience.
You have you go under the moniker Yahna, right? So do you have any reason or where the name comes from or the origin of that name?
Initially, no.
Yeah,
Initially,
you just
it
came
was-
up
Yeah.
one day, Yahna, and you feel and you stick to it.
Like kind of. So I just at the time I still do that, less so now, but like at the time, like I used to just name my tracks like completely random made up words that just sounded like something that sounded like the track, you know.
Right. Yeah.
And Yahna was the name of one of those tracks at the time, some really experimental beat stuff. And it was just, I was Skyping Vampire Myth from AKHYLA. which,
Vampire Myth.
Yeah. And,
Mustaqim, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
And we used to, this is before I met him in person, we were Skyping. We were supposed to release this EP or whatever. And he was like, what do you want to call yourself? In AKHYLA and all that. And then the Yahna thing was just on the side, Finder bar thing. Like, yeah, just Yahna.
How did you meet Moose in the first place? How did all these, the beginnings of AKHYLA started, man?
Well, Stefan, friend, homie, home dog, Stefan, we used to be friends when we were kids, yeah, but we bumped into each other in London.
Oh.
Yeah, and then we started like hanging out a lot. And he actually showed me Ableton.
Wow.
He was the one that was like, because I was just messing around with Logic. I was interested and I was doing it a lot, but it was definitely not. It just wasn't the right. I guess it wasn't the right kind of software for what I was trying to do. And he kind of saw that, and he was like, you gotta try this. You gotta try Ableton.
Ableton. This was before the audio school.
No, this was during.
During.
This was during. So like I'd go to school and like learn about Pro Tools and studio stuff. Then outside of school, be hanging out with Stefan. Actually, also in the school, I was like, I think it was me and another dude. We were like the Ableton dudes. But like, yeah, and like I think at the time now Ableton is taken more seriously.
Yeah,
but
way.
definitely like
Yeah.
3 years ago, like wow, fuck, it's been 3 years, maybe more. Oh my god, it's been like 3.5 years. But definitely
Since
3.5 to
AKHYLA?
4 years ago.
Since AKHYLA or since.
No, this is like before. Since meeting Stefan.
Wow. Shit. 3.5
Since,
years.
Yeah, 3.5 years. Since meeting Stefan and being friends with him. We actually met when we were like 14 or 15.
Whoa.
At a skate park. We're just kids though.
Mm-hmm.
That's really funny actually, because the last time I was trying to clear this gap with my skate and I hurt myself here, and I just
Shit.
wouldn't disinfect it. Like I was just like, whatever, it's fine. Yeah.
Okay.
And just kept doing it. And then the last thing he ever said to me was dog, dude, you gotta clean your arm. There's like a lot of shit on the road. And then I saw him like 6 years later in London, and I'm like, God, dude, you remember that time you said that? And I had this like gnarly, disgusting scar like on my arm.
Yeah.
It's funny. That's how we connected to here.
Okay, so Stefan knows Musakim since day one, is it? Is
Yeah.
that- okay.
They started it together.
So
like-
Stefan and Moose invited you, or how did you?
Oh, I mean,
went about-
Stefan invited
Okay.
invited me in.
So how was the experience like in AKHYLA as a music collective group?
Definitely learned a lot.
Yeah.
You gotta go through a lot of turbulent time. I gotta or else I keep moving.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know if yeah. Oh, definitely. It was really exciting, especially the beginning part. Like we were all like learning a lot together. Yeah, I don't know. It's just like that was my first. I kind of left school and went straight into this kind of label collective. And that to me, that was like school again, sort of. You know, like it was a real life experience kind of thing. And yeah, I mean, like it was really exciting at the time. We all kind of like became pretty close friends over the years. Doing that, learned a ton of stuff, which I think kind of prepared a lot of us to take our own individual paths. Yeah, it was definitely just an interesting time of learning.
So what is AKHYLA about actually? What is the whole
thing.
purpose of AKHYLA at the very beginning?
Well, AKHYLA was initially just like a collective of beat makers, but then
Okay.
eventually it was like we wanted to get into like working with production houses and doing audio, like audio treatment, audio lessons, like Ableton classes, like DIY Ableton classes, you know, and like yeah, and also at the same time play shows and make records. That's what it evolved to. But at the beginning, it was just beat makers making beats and trying to, and not just that, but like trying to improve our musical skill and write our music, and yeah, try to, instead of being individuals all scattered, be
It's like a
one
collaboration,
collective.
right?
Kind of, yeah. And
Okay.
it's also like once you bring everybody together and like put a label on it, that kind of does something, you know? And like you almost become like every little thing that you all have kind of adds up to this, and the benefit spreads out to all of you in a
Okay.
way. So that's like idealistically speaking.
What would be the like specific little lesson that strikes most throughout the years when you were there in AKHYLA?
I wouldn't say it was like a lesson. I would say that it was just that it definitely improved my ability to have certain relationships with certain people and sustain them, or realize when not to, or when how to interact and meander through humans more.
Okay.
You know? And then other than that, yeah, the music stuff, you know, definitely. So maybe my biggest musical and creative lesson that I got out of that is about perfectionism. Like being a perfectionist is, it's a really dangerous game to play.
Yeah.
Being a perfectionist, because And I think that's definitely the biggest lesson that I learned. I mean, I didn't learn it there. It was like I learned it when once I left, and there was that contrast. Like I realized that being a perfectionist is something that was holding not just me but a lot of us back. You know, like it's something that
Slows down your creative process in a way.
it doesn't just slow down your creative process; it suffocates it.
Oh.
You know, it's like what's a good analogy for this? Maybe like baking a cake. Like you know, like I don't know. It's like imagine if you like bake a cake, and but then you just overdo it. You overdo it. You put too much of too many things, little by little, because you think like, oh, it needs more of this. It needs more of that.
Yeah.
It needs less of this. It needs less of that. And you keep tinkering with this fucking cake so much.
Oh.
By the time you're done with it, the cake's like
You just
it's,
fuck
it's
the whole
just
thing
not,
up,
It's
right?
not fresh anymore. It's not
Yeah.
that nice. You've overdone it.
Uh-huh.
Or the same thing with like drawing. You know, it's like if you're doing like I don't know pencil sketches and you just keep trying to like shade in different things, the whole thing just gradually gets darker and darker and darker and darker until it's just overdone. And then now it's just overdone now, you know? Like you start again. I mean, obviously with audio it's different because you can just command Z, right? You can undo. But nonetheless, you can just keep making new project after new project of the same track or the same 3 tracks or however many and just like obsess to the point where it's just unnecessary. It's unnecessary. It stresses you out. You lose sleep over it. So there's perfectionism. Like trying to let go of that. Although I still am a little bit like a lot actually like that, but I'm trying to control it now.
Okay.
So yeah.
So your EP Sync, right? In
Yeah.
comparison with Haze, your full length album, is that
Yeah.
it? I mean, how different is the whole creative process behind it?
Well, Sync was not meant to come out for one.
Okay.
Well, maybe it was, but that was the only reason why that came out was because my computer at the time crashed and I didn't have a backup. So
Okay.
so, yeah. So then there was just MP3s that I'd sent around to the AKHYLA people for them to listen to. We just took that, mastered it, put it out.
Wow.
Yeah.
Shit.
So that was Sync.
Okay.
And at that time I lost something like 250 or 300 something plus songs.
Oh.
Yeah, maybe more. But those are the initial songs, so they don't really matter that much. I mean, and I still have some of them, but definitely have all the very, very beginning stuff, like using Logic and things. Those are all
Gone.
just gone forever. No way you're gonna get those back. But I don't know. It's okay. That's a different era. So yeah, so Sync was that, and then Haze was more. It was actually more about my time in AKHYLA. It was from the first track that I wrote in that record to the last track, and when it was released, it was before and after AKHYLA. So Haze, I guess that album is like my experience during that time of my life. Yeah, which is why the record's called Haze. It's a pretty hazy time, you know, and that's why it's also so long, I feel. Like, I don't know, I feel like that record is not necessarily something that was made to be easy listening.
How do you actually make a living when you're not making music, man?
Different things, man. Teaching English, coffee, was working at a club for a bit.
Right.
Yeah, bartending, whatever. Whatever, you know?
Let's talk about you as a person for a little bit, like Luca Fucile. Like the name Fucile, right? It has like some sort of like history behind it, or is it just any name? What are the origins? Like, where do you?
Fucile is like, well, it's my Italian side. It's my father's name, and it's actually, I think it's a Sicilian origins. There is actually, I don't know that much about my family history, but I do know that they came from Sicily like quite a few generations ago, and then kind of worked their way up to Rome. But like Fucile means like rifle, or like Fucile, like a shotgun, like something. It's something with a long barrel, so you could call it like a machine gun, I guess, like a Fucile.
Yeah, the funny thing is, Luca in Malay is called is a wound.
Yeah,
So it's like wounded rifle. Man.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, it's a cool thing, wounded rifle.
Yeah.
It's like it should be your.
It's
your,
so
your
it's
music
like a
moniker.
wrestler, like a depressed wrestler, you know.
Okay, hey, bro. Who has been your greatest mentor in life?
Wow. Well, this is gonna sound super cliche, but probably my mom.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah, definitely. Just because I mean, like, who else can really be?
I don't know. It could
Your
be
greatest
from
mentor.
afar, like Gary V.
Yeah. Well, then I may as well just say YouTube and Pornhub. Like, okay, sorry, Gary V, if you're listening to this, I love your work. Really motivating. Really like
Yeah.
your stuff.
Yeah.
I don't need to tell you to keep doing what you're doing. Okay. I don't need to motivate Gary V. Like, what? What is this ego? Yeah, probably my mom. Just because that would be, who else can be a greater mentor than your mom? You know, like she's so that's that. I mean, if you ask me greatest mentor in music,
Without
definitely. I mean, overall,
Mm-hmm.
Amon Tobin. About that. But if you wanted the single greatest mentor, I think for a lot of people, for most people,
Okay.
would
What
be
is
their
your
mom.
deepest fear,
Right,
man?
Wow. Deepest fear, other than like losing family members and all that kind of stuff. I think my deepest fear would either be losing my hearing
Okay.
or going crazy. Like, kind of, I think something that terrifies me a lot is like losing touch with reality. Like, not that, like, not in like a cliche kind of, but like, just, you never know, like, just what is it that you see that others do or don't, and I don't know, it's just, what if one day I get like dementia or something when I'm older and I can't think properly, and like I go into, that's definitely a really big fear,
Yeah.
being trapped in your own mind.
Yeah.
And that'd be terrifying. And then creativity, like losing creativity, like losing inspiration. I wouldn't say that's my deepest fear, but it's because it's definitely a fear that I've been trying to like control over time. Like trying to trust that my inspiration will come back when it does, and it's not this fleeting thing. Like, it's like it meanders. But definitely, if I were to just suddenly lose my ability to like sit down and enjoy just creating something and being in that bubble, I don't know, because everybody kind of grows, right?
Yeah.
So you never know what you're gonna grow in and out of.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of my fears, growing out of that kind of ability to just sit down and be creative and just create something, and just be in here and not worry about. You never know.
Yeah. I'm gonna go a little bit into the existentialism for a bit. Like, do you believe in reincarnation?
Somewhat.
Yeah.
Somewhat. I feel like that's something that makes sense. It just makes sense to me. The idea of having a place like a heaven and a hell, it just seems too human. Human beings, if we were gods, we would create something like a heaven and a hell. But then how do we know what's up there? It's arrogant of us to some degree. To some degree, it would be arrogant for us, or me. I'll speak for myself. For me to like assume what's up there, but I definitely feel that there's some kind of mechanism. I don't believe that when you die everything goes black. I just don't think that, I believe that there is some kind of mechanism, something that brings us up or transmutes us into another place for a bit. And I think there's like a process, some kind of conveyor belt type thing that prepares you for re-entry to the physical world. Because I think that it's this physical world and this metaphysical world, whatever it is, they live alongside each other, and they need each other to function. And we might just be the fuel for it, perhaps.
Yeah.
Or the method of which it can interact with one another. Maybe our conscious being, or the thing that makes us alive, is this kind of fuel that can go between these two dimensions, and then our experience of that, I'm not sure.
I mean, like, I remember off camera we talk about suicide before.
Yeah.
Like, nowadays people are dealing with heaps of depression and mental health issues, right?
Yeah.
Speaking of suicide, like, what do you think? Remember, we talk about what would happen. What do you think would happen to the people who actually commit suicide? What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, this is from what I've kind of gathered through just having friends that are really into certain types of religions or beliefs or whatever they read. But it seems like pretty unanimous between like Buddhism or a few like other pagan religions as well. I'm not sure about like Hinduism, or I know in Islam it's like you go to hell. It's actually quite similar to Christianity in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, well, this is my belief is that if you were to kill yourself, you're obstructing this set amount of time that you're supposed to be here. And I think that you do have this amount of time that you've got to like serve in this world. And then I think there's also an amount of time that you have to serve in the other. But if you switch to prematurely, then I think that you get stuck there until the switch is meant to happen. So if I were to kill myself like now, and then but I was meant to die when I was like 78, right? I would have to live another like whatever 78 minus 23 is. What's that? 55? Is that 55? Yeah, 55.
Yeah.
Basic math. Yeah. I'd spend 55 years like walking around. That would be kind of miserable.
Yeah.
And it would be horrible.
But don't you think it's funny why, if it's such a prohibition, why would it be an option that we could kill ourselves? You know what I mean? Like why would like God, a creator, would give that as an option? Because if it's
not options that are available need to be taken. You know? It's like you go to a supermarket, you pick what you're gonna have. You're not gonna buy one of everything, right? I think this is the same thing. Like if you don't drink, why would you buy 2 bottles of wine? You know, like just because it's an option. You know, like or a pack of cigarettes or like Cheetos when you're trying to lose weight. You know, why would you do that? So I think that's the same thing with you have these options, and I feel like people have this perspective. You know, like the whole world has been created like for them. This is the thing. Like the world has been created for people. So like if something's an option, it's like, oh, that's a viable option. But I don't know. I feel like you gotta pull back a bit. Like just because that's there doesn't mean it's there for you. You know. I mean, sure, you can kill yourself, but I mean that's just you can do a lot of things. But I think let me rephrase this. We're here interacting with the world, but the world wasn't created for us. Is what I'm trying to say. Okay. Backs up my options thing.
So do you think like thinking about these, like pondering about existentialism is a bad thing?
No, I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's quite necessary. I mean, to certain degrees, because I mean, if you just keep pondering and pondering and pondering, like you can end up in pretty bad places, you know, sometimes.
Yeah.
I can't remember who said that, but like thinking is a dangerous game. Thought is a dangerous game, something like that. Yeah, but I think it's really necessary for us to figure out who we are through thought and just reflection. Because if you don't think about these things, then what's the point? What's the point of just living and just having no idea why why are you even here?
Yeah.
Why are you here? You know, like why fear anything? Why do you have fear? Why do you have motivation? Why do you go to school? You know, why do we wear the clothes that we wear? You know, like all that kind of stuff. I think it's really important to think about that, because when you do come to certain conclusions, it makes living through this life that much more fulfilling. I can't go through it not knowing, like just being like, oh, people wear that? People wear that here? Okay, I'll wear that. You know, like people listen to that? Okay, I'll listen to it. You know, just going through, just letting life just waterboard you until you die. It's so unfulfilling. And the saddest part is that the fulfillment is right there, and it all lies in the way that we perceive it. So thinking about all these things can give you that much more gratitude and that much more respect for daily life, you know? And that much more, I don't know, enjoyment for it. Enjoyment.
Yeah.
things. Yeah.
What
I don't
is the
wanna-
meaning of life for Luca Fucile?
Just be in it.
Yeah.
Be in it as well as you can be in it. You know? Meaning for me, I don't know. I'm still trying to figure that out. But for now, at least, it's that's exactly what I just said. Like trying to understand more about what's happening around, and myself and others, and just trying to understand things more, process things more, from my own emotions to trying to gather more knowledge about things and open my mind up a bit. Yeah. Why else would you be here? You know?
To learn something, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Doesn't mean that you have to sit in front of like textbooks all day.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a practice of mindset, almost. Just think about tomorrow, you know? Just think about what could be, and also just think about anybody that cares about you. Everybody has somebody that cares about them, you know?
What would be the quality that you wish you had as a person?
It's a lot. Think about it. Qualities that I wish. Well, I definitely wish that I was more like organized. Definitely, and more clear-headed and grounded. I just more and also I guess relaxed. I wish I was a bit more easygoing with my life in general, or on myself. I've been trying to learn that. All these things I've been trying to learn, but the relaxed one is a very big one. Like the ability to control emotion like really well. I really respect that in people a lot. You know, the ability to like really just think about their emotions and compartmentalize. That's an amazing skill. I think that's an acquired skill to really be able to do that. Maybe more discipline as well. But that varies. That varies from time to time. I don't think I'm undisciplined.
Alright.
I think that maybe.
I guess you'll get there someday, man. It's just a work in progress. You're heading towards that direction.
But I feel I can vary from like very, very disciplined to not. It depends. It depends on the day. I don't know. It's a meandering thing. But that comes with the groundedness. That's just the thing. Like sometimes I just wish that I was less meandery.
Yeah.
You know, like such extreme changes and
yeah.
all that. Like, which I mean, I guess is good because then you kind of have more experiences and you see things in many different lights. And just I guess being aware of that is good. But I mean, just times where it's a little more reeled in, more of that stable, middle ground of character and. Yeah.
Do you think you'd have kids someday, bro?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'd really like to.
Yeah, if this were like the last piece of advice that you give your kids.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can they hear this when they're 23?
Yeah, sure, man. I'll make sure that they hear this advice.
Well, I'll tell them that get a desk job and never follow your dreams. Be stable and take care of mom. Go to school, don't fuck up. Nah. I mean all that, but like don't just jump into a desk job. I would say like definitely try your best to have as many experiences as possible. As a wise man once said, you're here for a good time, not a long time. Oof. Yeah. Okay, scratch that. I don't know if y'all listen to Drake still. What year is that? What, like 2050? Oh my god, I'll be old as fuck. Like 2060. You're definitely not gonna still be listening to Drake. I wonder what music is gonna sound like then. Hoover up as much experience as possible and always try to understand other people's perspectives. And always try to go through life taking things head on, but not in a stupid way. But you learn. By hoovering up experiences, you learn what is stupid and what is not. You know? Yeah. Because that kind of covers all the bases, doesn't it? It's like have experiences. Go out there, and if you find something that you're really, really into, put in the work. But one huge thing that I would say is just like don't let it consume you. But put in the work to make it happen. You know? And also like try to stay healthy. Don't smoke too much. I don't know if you guys still smoke then. Maybe like by 2060, smoking will be like abolished. It'll be like this thing that people did.
Yeah.
and
They
they're
used
like,
to smoke back
yeah,
then.
and they're like, and future people are like, what the fuck? That's so fucked up.
Yeah,
Why would
disgusting.
you do that? Yeah,
Is
man.
there anything that you wish that you would like to try that you think in 8 years' time would be the right time for you to like
To do it?
To do that, to switch routes probably maybe in 8 years' time, not so much into music anymore, or yeah, there's a little dream of yours that tinkering behind your head that you wish you could do. Where do you see yourself in 8 years'
28.
time?
I don't know. In 8 years, probably just like working at Tujo, working back at Tujo, become the owner. Like, you know, yeah, just buy it for like 3 billion. No, I don't know, man. Okay, 8 years. I can't really. I don't know, man. I have no idea because I used to think, you know, when I was around like 20, I used to think like in 5 years' time I want to do this. And 20 was 3 years ago. I would have had no idea. Like the stuff that happened in 3 years was just, so when you say what's gonna happen 8 years from now, I have no fucking idea. Like, I hope that 8 years from now, I can still say that 8 years from then, I'll still have no idea because life will still be happening that much. That's what I want to, that's where wow, that is the best fucking answer to that question. Holy shit. Like, I hope that 8 years from now, I can still have no idea to some extent, but not in such a negative way, but still have hope in a three-dimensionality 8 years later and not be so sure where I'll be in 8 years. Not in the sense of like constantly hopping jobs or whatever, but like not knowing where life will take me.
I guess that's the best way to live your life, right?
Yeah.
Like not knowing.
But I mean, obviously, by the time I'm like in my mid-30s, I do want to have kids and stuff like that. So there's a certain degree where you do want stability.
Certainty,
but you
yeah.
can still have stability and still... I mean, life is a meandering thing. And if you can predict all the way to 8 years, that's kind of sad. What's
Yeah.
the point? What's the point, you know? So that's what I hope. I hope that I don't have to face that. I don't want to face that.
If you found $1 million right now, let's say $1 million ringgit, what would you do with that money?
I'd hold on to it for a bit until I would know what to do with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because right now, you know, I'm about to move, all that. I'm really not sure. Like, if I go there, like, what would I do with that kind of money? That's a very good question, you know, actually. Oh, I'd probably get some decent music equipment first. I would definitely upgrade my laptop. That's the first thing I would do. But, like, get a really nice laptop, deck it out nicely, and buy some gear, and maybe build, like, a small studio space. But the first thing that I would have to figure out is where I would do that. Maybe somewhere in Europe, or would I come back to Asia? I don't know. Well, I've got like 250 USD. Is that 250-ish?
Yeah.
So, yeah. I think if I were to have it now, it'd definitely be something music related. And I think I would save a lot of it, though, for my kids, like college or whatever.
You're planning to travel to London, right? What's going to happen to you after
Well, when I
this?
go there, I'm going to try find a job, first of all.
Yeah.
And then try to just meet people and do music and stuff. Try to collaborate with people, like, but not in a... Like, yeah, I don't know. Just do what I've been doing here. Release my music. See people like it. And, yeah, just try to play some shows. See what happens. Like, it's not... I'm not super planned out, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, your upcoming album. How is that gonna be?
Yeah, so there's a collaboration with Dewan, Ceremonious, that's one of his names, and
What's the one's real name, by the way?
Osborne. Yeah, and then there's also Keith, Leon Sapphire, who you should actually also interview.
Yeah, he's a
pretty interesting dude as well.
yeah.
Yeah, he's an R&B singer, very groovy, very soulful dude. I'm trying to get a few other people, like Feng Shao Hill as well on the record, and Darren Ashley at some point. Yeah, so it'll be like definitely more collaborations than I've, especially with singers. Like getting really creative with singers, so that will be on the record. But then a lot of other tracks would be like instrumental, and keep this kind of journey-like thing. Keep the whole thing kind of groovy. A mixture of the things that I've learned with music so far.
If you could change the world within the palm of your hands, man, what would you change the world as it is today? How do you change? What would you change it to? How would
Oh,
Luca
wow.
Fucile change the world? There's no limits. You can do anything right now, in a good way. I mean, all the power is in your hands.
Well, I don't know. I guess all the obvious stuff like redistribute money and help. Like I could just change the entire system into like a super ideal system. Then I don't know, like I would definitely take a lot of money from the super rich and famous and just redistribute it.
Just take it from them. Take it.
Yeah, I can do whatever I want, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
like, yeah, I'll just take it and then redistribute it. I don't know. I'll just keep going and just keep remolding the world as I please. I don't know, like just multi-layered Earth, and then like harvest the energy of the sun to like create all kinds of like galactic
Damn.
explorations and like have like arcs, you know, like all these like arcs of different communities.
I remember you told me this one thing, man. Like, fix your compass, find your true north, and then you'll find your life, your meaning of life, or something like that. What do you
Yeah.
actually mean by that?
I guess that's what I'm seeking out, sort of.
Yeah.
Like figuring out my compass, my own inner compass, like having my own mindset be strong and like having my own mindset being pointed in the right directions, which right now I feel like my compass is still like kind of all over the place, you know. There's still so many like inner jigsaw pieces that you keep trying to like line up so that your compass is pointing in like a direction that's beneficial to you and those around you. And I feel like that if you get that mindset right, it's almost like you can't really fail and just be in line mentally. That's what I mean by compass. Just mentally in line.
Either music, sex, or peace of mind. That you have to get rid of one of it amongst these three.
It's a really hard question.
Yeah, to survive, to stay alive, man. Music, sex, or peace of mind.
I definitely wouldn't get rid of peace of mind.
Okay.
Because I mean, like music and sex and no peace of mind, like, oh damn, that's that would be stressful. That would be really like just agitated life, I think, if you just had no peace of mind. But then no music, it's just sex and peace of mind, like just feels pretty animal. But then music and peace of mind, yeah, you can go on this like big journey and all that, but then I guess you could rethink the way that you love. So maybe sex. I think sex is the one that is the most likely to get dropped. But still, like, just I think you'd have to figure out new ways of experiencing love and affection other than sex, which is, there's plenty. There's definitely plenty. I don't know. It sounds like you just become like this musical monk. I don't know. All of them are pretty. Wow, that's a really fucking good question. Those are three very important components. Because I mean, happiness is only real when it's shared. That line was it really hit me. Like, wow, fuck, that's true. Because it's like you can have like the most amazing thing happen. You know, like when you have something Superman, you have this personal experience, whatever, maybe with music, or you went on this journey or whatever, found yourself. Like, what do you do when you come back from that? You kind of want to talk to people about it, right? And what if you're just alone? You're just kind of like, you know? And I
Yeah.
think after the longest period of time, like you'll just kind of be desensitized to like happiness or sadness. Because human beings we almost like experience emotion through each other.
True.
Through talking to each other, our emotions come out and we can understand. We not only understand others by listening to them, but we understand ourselves by talking about ourselves or listening to others. So yeah, you can still enjoy some of the most fundamental parts of human interaction. So yeah, I would drop sex.
This is where I flip the script and let you ask me anything, man. Ask me anything apart from the podcast or any other questions that I've asked you today.
So, what is the piece of artwork, movie, book, music, doesn't matter, or even food, or whatever that you experienced and that you not only really liked and not only really inspired you, but you could also like identify with and you consider as a big part of like your, like it influenced the way that you see a lot of things and yeah,
Okay.
and also the artist that created that
All right.
thing.
So I'm gonna start with, like, it's all connected in the end. So I'm gonna start with this film called Ghost. Right, this film called Ghost is about. Have you seen Ghost, starring Patrick Swayze? It's
Okay.
about a person who got killed, but the soul comes out of the body and see the white light, but decided not to go for the white light.
Oh, and like, yeah, he's like roaming around and he
Yeah.
tries to flip that coin in the train
Yeah,
station.
yeah.
Yeah, I've
He-
seen
yeah.
a few of.
All right,
I
so
can't remember, yeah.
so that film, as a kid, once you see that, it actually fucks up your mind a bit, man. I was like 5 or 6, and the reason being, I asked you about all this existentialism because we had all these conversations, and I realized that you are the kind of person who doesn't get agitated by these kind of questions, and you are able to stay afloat when I ask this. Some certain people, they just get mad and they get irritated. Like, are you lost? Are you out of your mind? Why are you thinking? You shouldn't be thinking that. For example, certain people,
Yeah.
So I realized that with you, I mean, to begin with, you're inspiring to as you are as a person. You're
Oh, well, thank you.
You're a musician. You're the way of thinking and your character, and you're inspiring in your own way. Okay, and then I got to know you within the period of time in Tujo, and I found out that you are as sensitive as I am, but you're stronger. The reason being because my mind is pretty fucked up, and it wants to know so much about life after death. And because I seen that movie as a kid repeatedly, over and over again.
So it ingrained that.
Yeah. What if after I die, then I'll stay on and watch my family and all that. And then I remember you saying, like, if you kill yourself, you actually end up having to
Well, that's
suffer
what I
that way.
think.
Yeah.
That's what I think. Yeah.
Okay, so that piece of film, Ghost, in 1990, and like how the soul has to complete their task and learn and help their loved ones learn their lessons or whatever before moving on, right? Secondly is Kurt Cobain.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember. Imagine, like, I saw Ghost, and then I listened to Nirvana, and holy shit, I just found out, like, when I was in my teenage years, that I found out that he actually killed himself, or whatever the conspiracy is.
Yeah. Oh no, he was definitely murdered by Courtney Love.
Yeah.
That woman definitely organized to get him killed.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I enjoyed listening to the raw, rustic version of Kurt's home recordings. I'm sure you've encountered as well. Like,
Yeah.
probably Montage of Hack.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was acoustic stuff. And art that changed me, I guess that, man.
Yeah.
So it actually concludes in the spiritual world between life and death. That inspires me in a way. When I talk about it, it's not like I'm contemplating it, but I actually
it's not like a dark thing. It's not
Yeah.
macabre or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's I think almost like the understanding of the, or at least the curiosity about it, like the idea of a temporary life and then a possible, and then a death, and the not knowing of that. What is that going to be? I think that's quite empowering, actually. It empowers you to do more with your life and appreciate it more, maybe.
Yeah. To conclude that is the film and also Kurt Cobain. What do you think of Kurt Cobain, man?
I think he was a genius.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think everyone felt that way.
Yeah.
Why do you think so? Like,
Because something that different, that true, like the combination of so many things that like kind of created him. Like, he feels really created. You know what I mean?
he feels creative.
No, as in like he feels like not himself. Like, as in like the idea of Kurt Cobain
Feels like not authentic. Like, it's like
not
too good to be
not
true.
authentic. It's just almost.
Yeah.
Also not too good to be true, but it's so like whole. The picture of him, his life, the way he lived it, the way he sounded, the way that he expressed himself, the emotion that he could translate as well. Because not only was he like super, like jamming, a lot of noise in the music, a lot of energy, which for a lot of bands in that time, like it was just this kind of energy, but he really translated like a really deep emotion. I think it got across to people a lot more than, I think it was for that era. He really pierced through with his songs. Yeah, because I guess it's just like who he was. I mean, I watched documentaries and read about him and stuff like that, and who he was, like how anybody is, had a lot to do with the way that he grew up, and then how he reacted to his environment, and this whole process of like where he ended up being. Yeah, his whole story is just kind of really fascinating. He's a beautiful human being, a beautiful specimen, I guess.
He shouldn't be blamed then. Let's say kids are taking their own life just because they look up to him.
Kids do that? They must, right?
Yeah, I
They
mean,
must. Of
yeah.
course they do. Well, yeah, I don't blame him.
Yeah.
I blame how I think it does have a lot to do with media, like the way the media kind of, because I mean it's a very sad story, and it's romanticized a lot. Like even his like suicide letter, which was apparently that letter was actually him wanting to leave the band, but then it was like used as like a suicide cover-up type thing. Okay, but let's just treat the story like he did kill himself. Okay, because I'm a real conspiracy theorist about this story. But like, yeah, so let's just say he did kill himself, and that was a suicide letter. At the end, he says it's better to burn away than to fade
It's
out.
better to burn out than to fade away.
Yeah, to burn out than fade away. Which is like, I guess there is some sense to that, because it's like this extravagant, like one day you're here, the next you're not, you know. It's not like this slow process of getting old and forgotten and then die, you know, like slowly fading into the background. But at the same time, that's also very self-righteous. You know, that's a very narcissistic little thought over there. It's just like, yeah, for you maybe, for your ego, it's better to burn away than fade out. But you have a place in this world, and killing yourself is, you're not honoring that place. You're not honoring the opportunity to be here. You know, it's quite the opportunity to even be here. Enjoy. You know, there's always something to enjoy. Enjoy your fucking life. God damn it! Like he was like, what was he when he killed himself? 28.
27.
27. Yeah, he was at 27 Club.
Yeah,
Club.
he was
yeah,
part of it.
One of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was 27. And yeah, like, you're still young as fuck, you know? You're young as fuck, I don't know. But yeah, but anyways, like, that was his decision. Self-righteous or not. The way that it was romanticized. The way that this whole idea of, like, being sad and being, like, depressed and having problems and having, like, a drug addiction or whatever, you know? Like, and so, like, respected. Like, if you have that, it's like, oh, that person goes through that. So therefore, like, they're, I wouldn't say like better than her. Not that, but like they go through that. So it's like you think that that's a very noteworthy part of their personality, and it's totally romanticized. You know, it's definitely a time where drug addiction was romanticized. Like, I'm addicted to these drugs. And you know, like, I'm gonna hear people that say, oh, I've been addicted to this, I've been addicted to that, I go through this. It's like they'll kind of wear like a badge of honor because they got through it, right? People do that. People always do that. They use their bad experiences to be like, oh yeah, I got through it. But suicide, that's different. You know? Once you do it, you do it. You're dabbling with something that is so much bigger than fashion. You know? It's yeah, and I do blame the media for romanticizing it so much. Irresponsibly romanticizing it. KURT did what he did. What's done is done. But I don't know. I do think that there's got to be a level of responsibility. Like, you can't just, but media doesn't fucking care, do they?
Yeah.
They just don't.
I mean, I'm sure they made millions or at least,
Of course
or
they
billions.
did. Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised.
His suicide blew the band up, man.
Yeah.
They got so big after that.
Yeah.
So big. Yeah, a rock star is worth more dead than alive. That's for sure.
Okay, before we get to the last question, where can people find you on social media, and where do they look up for your future projects, man?
SoundCloud is definitely one. So soundcloud.com/Yahna-music. Instagram at Yahna altogether.
YAHNA.
Yeah, YAHNA for the Instagram, and then there's Facebook, which is Yahna Music altogether.
Have you ever thought of changing the moniker? I don't know,
Yeah.
like just a thought.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Yeah?
I thought about it. I even thought about just releasing music under my own name. Don't like how Italian my name sounds sometimes. You know?
I don't know, you just go with Fucile. Who knows? It'll be a hit, man.
Yeah, I don't know, but like, I don't want to call myself like rifle.
It's pretty cool, dude.
I know, but it's
Like you get to hit your target from afar. Wow.
Maybe,
there's
I don't know.
wisdom behind that.
wow. I don't know. It's also a bit corny. I kind of like, like I like Yahna. I like Yahna because it doesn't have any meaning. It's kind of an open platform.
Okay.
So what does Yahna mean? It doesn't mean anything. Who cares? It's just one. I just like the way that it looks. It just looks nice.
Cool.
It's catchy too. And I feel like you give meaning to the name. The name doesn't give meaning to what you do. What you do gives meaning to the name. It's like Adidas.
Oh.
Like, what does Adidas even mean? Like the name George.
What?
George. What does George mean? George.
Yeah.
It is. I don't know what it means.
Yeah.
Maybe it has a meaning. Like
George is George.
George is George.
Yeah.
But like if you knew George, then that's what George means. What does Milo mean?
Yeah.
Right? What does Luca mean? I don't know.
Cool.
So Yahna. Why does Yahna have to have a meaning?
Last question, bro. What was the greatest piece of advice that you've ever received?
Okay, I'm gonna say the greatest piece of that really good piece of advice that maybe it's not the best, but I don't know, received a lot of advice throughout life. So this was just the one that comes up to my mind. It comes from his YouTube videos, from Amon Tobin. I talked about him earlier. And at the end, it was an interview with Beatport. Beatport people ask him like, what would be some advice to like young producers and musicians that are like trying to get into the thing. Then he goes like, he talks about how, he kind of goes off on this thing where it's just like, to him, music is like this really, really special thing. And if you want to be successful in life, then maybe music is not the right thing to do in the first place, right? Then at the end, it was just like, he said, what did he say? He said, I guess the best advice is just don't listen to any advice and do exactly what you want to do. Which I thought that was like, wow, fucking hell. Like, that is the best advice. When it comes to music stuff, that is such good advice. I mean, not completely dismiss things, but at the end of the day, don't let things sway you too much. And just do what you want to do, And yeah, but he is kind of like a musical purist in a way. Like he's very much, he doesn't want his world of sound and music to be like corrupted by business and all that kind of stuff. It's a very special thing to him, which it is to me too. But maybe, I don't know, everybody's views are ever so slightly different. But I definitely agree with him on a lot of points. But yeah, I think that's the best one.
All right, let's say a person or a soul that's like 23 years old, who don't really know what they want to do in life. They haven't found their passion, they haven't found their meaning, and they are lost. They're not depressed, but they're just lost. They're just wandering through life and wondering what should be next for them.
Yeah, for 23.
At 23, yeah. 23. What would your advice be?
Yeah, just like, I don't know, just don't worry so much. You're 23. You don't just, it doesn't matter how what you went through growing up, whatever, like, simply because you haven't been around for that long, you're not gonna know what you want exactly. Very rarely does anybody really know, especially if you're wondering. Clearly you don't.
I guess because adults pretend all the time.
Do they pretend though?
Do
they pretend? Or maybe they just have enough information to do what seems like pretending. They just have enough information to not be so panicky all the time.
Right.
They know that it's going to be all right, and maybe their priorities are also different. Our priorities right now is to like someday be successful. Once you're like 40 or whatever, in your late 30s, I mean, it's just, you've lived through a lot of stuff, Imagine like, how old are you? 26?
25.
25. So yeah, you're almost basically the same age, But I mean, the difference between when you were 20 until now, would you say that's a pretty big difference? Mm-hmm. In the way that you think, the things that you've learned, how much you have grown, right? I mean, that's also a very key time in life. So you do learn a lot. It's a pretty big jump.
Right.
But now imagine from now until 35, how much more will happen, how much more you will learn, and how your priorities are going to change. So I don't know. Like Gary Vee says it best. You're 25. Calm down. Like, especially and he says that if you're less than 20, 25, like 23, just learn how to work hard, learn things, hoover up experience. I was just having that conversation with Harry last night. He was just like, because I was kind of talking to him about the fact that I was like nervous about going to London because, yeah, just the apprehension, readapting to a new environment. And like, am I really like gonna do music? I don't know. It just feels a little bit ridiculous to me sometimes. Just because music's something I love doing, it's something I want to pursue. But really, go to London and like do music, you know, like that's feels really far fetched sometimes. But then I was talking to Harry about that, and he was just kind of like, well, just go there, you know, like just hoover up as much experience as possible, work jobs. In 6 months, if you don't like it, go somewhere else, you know, like. Yeah. Just hoover up as much experience as possible. Yeah, like I had a friend, her parents, like they constantly travel. You know, they still to this day, they will always be traveling. Like every so much of their money like is saved up and goes to like traveling and having new experiences. I think so much of their philosophy was they were older. I think they were in their 50s, maybe 60s now. I don't know, but like it's been a while. But like yeah, they're just they're all about having new experiences and trying to go to as many places as possible. Because that's the only way you prolong your life, isn't it? Yeah. Because when you're a kid, days and years seem so much longer. Because so many new things are happening when you're a child. But then as you grow older, you've been doing the same things over and over again. Like dressing yourself or trying to talk to a girl. At the beginning, it seems like the most daunting thing ever. Later on, you kind of get used to that, you know, and the more things you get used to, the faster days go by. And the only way to kind of prolong your perceived length of life is to have as many new experiences as possible. And I don't think that should start at any age. I think it's just when that realization hits, start acting on it.
Thank you so much, bro, for being part of the podcast.
Thanks a lot for having me. Make sure you check me out on SoundCloud. Give me them plays. Follow me. No, but yeah, I hope you got something out of this conversation that me and Milo are having.
Right.
I don't know. I like talking to a phone. It's weird. But like
Awesome, man.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Hey, actually, I might come with you.
It feels nice to be here, man. Thank you so much for
No worries, bro.
agreeing to be part of this podcast, bro.
Anytime.
Cool.
Podcast. Milo Fico signing out.